She's living life to the fullest. She's on the scene, making moves, living a dream. She's got it right, no need to ask. Just sit back and get to know her, She's got style, she's got class, she's got it right, no need to ask. She's got style, she's got class, she's got it right.
What's up, boo-boos? So, happy Storytime Sunday. It's Sunday. Everybody loves some Sunday. Yeah. Today we're doing Storytime, okay? Alright? Now, if you didn't see my last Storytime, you need to, because it kind of goes with this one, you know what I'm saying? That will be linked down below, you know. It's going to be like the same theme, so, yeah, you need to go check that one out first. Of course, if you watch the last Storytime, this will all make sense to you, okay? But basically, if you just started from here and you don't want to go watch the other one, then forget you then. And I'm just going to start here, okay? Let's get into the Storytime. So, I had the 3 guinea pigs, you know, Brooklyn, King, Chocolate, you know what I'm saying? I had got them, and then my sister ran away, and then I had to take care of them, and then my dad wanted Brooklyn. That was all another Storytime, you know? Just go check it out, okay? But we're just going to resume the story of the 3 musketeers, okay? Chocolate and Brooklyn always vibed together, and they're like besties, and they used to both have the same personality and were the same size, okay? They both was fat. Brooklyn was a little bit fatter, just a little bit bigger, but they both was fat. They both were extremely aggressive, and they both were just like a lot of energy. They was like hyper. And then my baby, you know, King, you know what I'm saying? He was calm and chill, and he was kind of like an old man a little bit. Like, he was just slow, calm, okay? Calm and collective, okay? So you got these 2 besties that roll together that are same personality and aggressive, and then King was by himself and didn't vibe with the other 2 and was calm. He never really liked Brooklyn. As soon as we got him, he never started vibing with him. He never got friends with him. He just kind of started separating himself more and more, slowly separating himself, and he was not feeling Brooklyn that much. Then Chocolate and Brooklyn just ended up rolling together, and King would just always be by himself. Me and my mom built our own like custom cage, and there was like an upstairs and a downstairs. Like the upstairs was like the kitchen and where like their sleeping area was, and then the downstairs was like just a flat surface, so where they could play and run and have a bunch of room. And it was pretty big. We had one big hut, well, huge hut, so that if they wanted to, they could all go in one big hut. And then we had 2 small huts just in case they want to go by themselves and have a little nap, you know what I'm saying? We kept King in the cage because it wasn't a dangerous situation. They just kind of left King alone, and he would just be by himself, and they would just kind of roll with each other. Brooklyn would just always follow Chocolate like he was his like big bro. So, and then King would just like do whatever. And it wasn't dangerous, and they wasn't like hurting each other, nothing like that. So we just kept them in the same cage, and King could go in one of the small huts if he wanted to, and he could go upstairs while they play downstairs or blah blah blah. He ended up slowly separating himself, and he always used to just go in the hut, or he would just basically avoid them and they would avoid him, and they wouldn't play as a pack. They would just always leave King out, and then they would just play with themselves. But King liked being alone. He would like being alone, or he would also like having a friend. He really didn't care. So, but obviously he was left alone most of the time, and he was still happy. He was still King. I always took them out and played with them separately together. He always had me, so he was just happy. And he was fine being alone by himself in his hut. So that lasted for a few months. My mom always used to give the guinea pigs a bath because I couldn't handle them in their bath because they used to always squirm. So she was giving Chocolate a bath, and she had realized that there were scratches on his back. while she was watching him up. And then she thought it was a little bit strange, but then again, she was just thinking that maybe it was Brooklyn and him just playing, or they used to hump each other, so that could have been it too. And she just really didn't pay attention to it, because I mean, it's just scratches, you know what I'm saying? And you're talking about two aggressive pigs that you just know that they're aggressive. Not like a mean aggressive, not like a hurt each other aggressive, but just like a hyper energized, like jump all over you type of aggressive. So then one day, me and my mom were downstairs just like feeding them, watching them, playing with them, blah blah blah. And so King was going down the ramp. He had just came from the kitchen. He was eating, you know what I'm saying? Because they used to go up and down the ramp. So he had been going down the ramp and he was lifting up his neck. I don't know why, but King always lifted up his neck. He was skinny, and so like when he lifts up his neck, he just looks like this big skinny little thing. But then Chocolate and Brooklyn never ever lifted up their neck, because I guess they were fat and they didn't have time for all that. But King always used to lift up his neck. So he's going down the ramp and he lifted up his neck, and then Mom had looked at his neck and saw something. So then she was like, let me investigate further, you know what I'm saying? So this is a couple of days after Chocolate had scratches. So my mom had sent me upstairs with my dad so that she can investigate, just in case it was anything scary, anything like over the top, you know what I'm saying? And so she had picked him up and had flipped him over on his back, and she had realized that it was a hole. Not like a big, it was big enough. It was probably like this big. No, not like this big. Maybe. And it just covered his whole neck, basically. And it was a hole, and it was open, and it was an open wound, and it had like dry blood around it. It was not like blood was leaking out, but it was like, you know when you have an open wound, you know, when you get it cut, and then a few days later you check at it, and it got the little dry blood like that, okay? So then she had came upstairs, and she had told me that there was a hole in King's neck, and that he could possibly die. So then I was sad, and I was like, okay, because I don't want to hear that my guinea pig could die. Like, I don't, because, and she said that basically, like, I didn't want to go down there one day and he just is laying there dead. Like, I didn't want that, so I was like a little traumatized, you know what I'm saying? So, then she has shown me, I went downstairs and she has shown me his hole, and I was kind of scared. Cause when you see something like that, like, you're like, what? Like, really? And I didn't know how this could happen. I didn't know when this happened. I didn't know nothing. Like, I always used to watch them. And Brooklyn and Chocolate used to just leave him alone. And I always used to watch them. And I went down there like once an hour, and it was cool. It was copacetic, except during the night when I was asleep. So I didn't know how he had got it. I didn't know when he had got it. I don't know how long it's been like that for, but my mom just saw it. It could have been the Chocolate in Brooklyn, or he could have just did it to himself, because he always used to just like scratch himself, and he used to be like irritated with his body. I don't know what the heck. But he could have did it to himself, or the other guinea pigs could have did it. We don't really know. Then we had to deal with the hole in his neck. So we had thought about going like to the vet, you know what I'm saying? But then we're just like, we realized that he was gonna die, and he was acting perfectly fine. Like, he was acting like there was no hole in his neck. Like, he was just acting like King. Like, there was no feelings change, nothing. Like, he just did the same thing like he always did. He was running down the ramp when we saw the hole. Like, he was like fine. He wasn't even acting like it hurt or nothing. So it was the weekend, and we're like, we can't bring him, and we were like panicking basically, because we didn't know how long we had until this guinea pig could have died, and we didn't know how long this was like this for. So it was the weekend, and no vets are open during the weekend. So we just like, well, we gotta get on our Google tip, you know what I'm saying? We gotta Google how to fix this hole temporarily just so he can last through the weekend. So we Google it, and they said that it could be an abscess or and all that jazz. Don't go to Google like that. Google just make you panic even more, okay? But anyway, so then we just realized we were reading, and it was just telling us how to temporarily just clean it and make sure it is okay for the moment until we could take him to the vet. And yeah, so then we did what Google said to do. Got all the first aid stuff and had cleaned it, helped him out, and that was just temporarily just to make sure that the hole didn't affect him anymore. Temporarily. So I had brought him upstairs because I realized that it was a dangerous situation, that they could not be in the same cage together, whether or not he did it to himself or he did it, or the other guinea pigs did it. He just needed to be alone in his own cage so I could watch him. So me and Mom had built him a cage upstairs in my room, just so I could watch him and make sure that he wasn't doing it to himself anymore or wasn't messing with the hole and none of that. And to make sure that he was eating and that his behavior didn't change, and just so I could really, really watch over him. And these other two, Brooklyn and Chocolate, were just as a regular day, didn't care that King was gone. They were still rolling together. So, he stayed in my room for a few days, and then we decided to bring him back downstairs with his own cage. So we brought the cage that my mom built from upstairs down to the basement, put it like right next to each other, put it right next to the other cage, and just put him in his own cage, and he was still perfectly fine. Acted the same way as he did when he was in my room. And then that lasted for a little while, and then we had made a decision to get rid of them because it was getting team too much. The care that it took for me took a lot of energy, and we didn't know what was gonna happen with King's hole. We were just like, he needs to be in a better place than this because we don't know what to do with his hole, and bathing them, cleaning their cage was just getting too much for me. So, we had decided to get rid of them, and we were searching and searching and searching for vets, and there was none in New York when we had lived in New York at the time, and there was none in New York. So we decided to look for New Jersey. We found one in New Jersey and called them, and they said that they was going to put me on a waiting list. And basically when they called me, that means that they had a spot. So they had to wait for a spot, and I was on the waiting list. So I was on the waiting list for like weeks. And during that time, King's hole had healed. And it wasn't completely gone, but it had healed. And he was back to normal. And he was like fine basically. So then the vet called, and his neck was healed. And I was still kind of going back and forth if I wanted to get rid of them or not. So they called, and we didn't call them back. We didn't answer nothing because I still didn't know if I wanted to get rid of them or not. I just was kind of like, I wanted to keep them at the time. All I had to deal with was just still cleaning their cages, still bathing them, still feeding them, all that other jazz, and the care part of having a pet. Then my dad was like, you need to just get rid of them because it's too much stress for me, and just caring for them is just too much. Then the vet ended up calling again a few weeks later, and they were like, we have a spot reserved for your guinea pigs, and this is your last and final chance to get rid of them and give them to us. So then it was like, yeah, I'm just gonna get rid of them. So then we traveled all the way to New Jersey and took a trip out there, and we had drove there, and it looked actually like a really nice place. It was a really nice vet. And I just was looking at all the pros of giving them away, because King would get full care on his neck, and they would just be in a better place. We had got there and we had went in, and then we like checked in or whatever. I had no feelings until I got there. I was just like, I'm just gonna go give them away, it's not gonna be a problem. And when I got there, I started getting sad. So I thought they were going to give me a tour of the vet situation, but they didn't. I was like, maybe they're just going to give me a little tour, you know, where they're going to be staying and stuff, you know what I'm saying, like that. But no, they didn't. So they basically just checked them in, and we waited there for like 5 to 7 minutes, and we was just chilling. And then they had came and said that they were ready for them. So I dead thought this whole entire time that they were just going to give me a tour and all the other jazz, but they didn't. They were just like, we could just take them right now. So I said goodbye, and I didn't start crying. Well, no, I did start crying. I started crying when I handed them up to them, and they had took them back, and I don't know, I just walked out and I was crying. And we were going to a water park afterwards, because my dad was like, you know, I'm trying to make her feel better, you know, but not with another guinea pig, but what a water ride, you know what I'm saying? So we went to the water ride afterwards, and I was crying for like 5 minutes, and then when I got in the car and we were like driving away, I was like, I was fine with that. And yeah, that's basically it, really. So my mom had then called them when we got back home, and because we were in New Jersey for a few days, because we were just gonna bring them, and then we were going to the water park or whatever, having fun. So then we had got back to the house, and my mom had called them to check on them, and they had said that Brooklyn and Chocolate were adopted together to one person, and they were adopted. And then King had gotten another abscess, and that he had to be taken care of by the vet, and then he could be up for adoption. So they were just taking care of him, and he really couldn't be adopted yet, so they were just holding him and taking care of him until his abscess had healed. And yeah, that's really it. So that's the end of this story time. If you want more videos like this, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to Willie's Precious Life. Okay, and I will see you guys in my next video. Peace out.